So hello everyone, my name is Faruqi and I am currently enrolled in Bachelor's in Management and Entrepreneurship at Karachi School of Business and Leadership. So tonight's panel discussion crucial topic is USA gonna default or not? So before starting off, let me introduce our panelists. Firstly, we have Mr. Faruqi, who is a US citizen and currently residing in Miami, Florida. He is pursuing his Bachelor's in Business Analytics in Miami-Dade College and is here on his vacation. Secondly, we have Mr. Mohammad Taha Khan, who is pursuing his degree of Accounting and Finance from Institute of Business and Administration. Lastly, we have Mr. Mohammad Hamad Ghulam, who is pursuing professional qualification of Chartered Accountancy and currently employed in KPMG, one of the big 4 audit firms in the world right now. So let's start with some background of what currently is happening in United States economy. The US debt has increased significantly and so has the government spending, which has worsened the economic situation of the country. Moreover, they are about to hit their debt ceiling, on which the President of the United States of America, Joe Biden, is refusing to do it so and has asked to increase the limit of the debt. Okay, so firstly, how likely is the US default in the near future and what impact will it have on the country's economy and global financial stability?
To be very honest with you, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. As far as I've studied US politics and US history, these kind of times have come before the United States economy. And the United States government has always managed to fought out these kind of times. The reason because their political stabilization of how strong they are politically, they don't get these kind of political insurgencies that can make the economy real bad, you know. And they still have the potential of attracting foreign investors. That's a very big point. Secondly, they can manage their debts, you know, not very easily, but yeah, they can make policies like they have done before that they can manage their debts. Even though, since you're asking what will be the consequences of something like that happen, I fear the consequences will be real bad for working class United States citizen, because pretty much most of these people, they work jobs and they're surviving paycheck to paycheck. If that kind of thing happens, surely a lot of people will be losing their jobs, yeah. But I believe strongly that the United States will be able to get back from this economic situations. Even if they default, they can still manage to get out of this economic default or, you know, economic worsening because of their power. They are a strong country. They have been in existence since 245 years. So yeah, we cannot underestimate a country that strong.
In my opinion, the likelihood of the US being default in the near future is really high because the national debt has reached the unsustainable level and the political system is plagued by the partisan gridlock, which has completely destroyed the reforms. Apart from that, if the US is not gonna change the reforms and policies, then they are gonna face the consequences. And the consequences are certain and will worsen the economy in the near future because the recession and inflation will affect the standard of living of the people there, the jobs and unemployment will also be increased.
I believe that the chances of US defaulting is like moderate. Why? Because I agree with Mr. Fahad that it has never even happened in the entire history, like US has never defaulted, it has never gone back on its debt payments. But we also have to look at Mr. Hamad's point that the debt is significantly rising. I mean, it has already reached a point where it is more than $30 trillion. That's a lot of money. Like, it's more than its entire GDP, which is around 25 or 28 trillion. I'm not exactly sure of the number. So now you ask the consequences. The consequences could be very devastating. It's going to affect the middle class people, the poor people. Why? Because the US has spent more on education and Medicare and its healthcare system. So it would be very devastating and it could be more dangerous than the Great Recession.
Okay, so after listening all of your opinions, I think US will not gonna default soon, but if it would have a significant impact globally and economically. So let's move towards our second question, which is, should the United States prioritize debt reduction to reduce the risk of default, even if it means implementing possibly unpopular strict measures? So let's begin with Mr. Faruqi.
Yes, absolutely. I do think the United States government should prioritize reducing their national debt. And not just that, they need to implement fiscal policies that requires them to cut their spendings, that requires them to increase their revenue. Because at this time, they need these kind of policies. And it's not just required for for them to get out of default, it's required for sustainable economic growth. It's required for any kind of economic risk that might occur in the near future.
I think it depends on the economic condition of the US, and while reducing the debt is for long term it's really good, but for short term US has to see the balanced approach to reducing the debt, because they also have to take care of the people and the accountability of the people. And apart from that, the policies which US is going to apply for reducing the debt is necessary to see the measures they are going to take and take care of the people.
No, absolutely not. Prioritizing debt reduction through strict measures is not the best solution. Slashing government spending is enduring an economic downturn. It's going to result in a weak economy and a potential social unrest. What could be done is that the government should focus more on strategic investments, tax reforms, and different other measures that would lead to stimulating economic growth, generating revenue, and then treating the debt issue over the long term.
So yeah, I also totally agree with Mr. Taha's opinion that strict measures can bring the change, but reducing the government spending can weaken the economy. So let's move forward to the third question, which is that is the current level of debt is sustainable, or we are on an unsustainable path that could lead to the default in the future?
Yes, I do believe that the current level of US government debt is sustainable at the moment. Despite the magnitude of the debt itself, it is still backed by the robust economy that they have, the trust of international investors, and the ability to generate revenue. But I do believe that with better fiscal policies, with better strategic investments, with again the trust of investors, the investments should come in. They will get out of this debt obligation that the US government is currently having.
I think the current level of the US government debt is not sustainable and the economy is uncertain. As Mr. Farfar addressed that the revenue generation and the investment will help the economy, I completely disagree. Because the national debt has increased so much that the investment will not come and the US is going to default soon. US have to take measures with both. Apart from revenue generation, they have to look after the people and implementing new policies to make the economy better and come out of the debt or the default condition soon.
I agree with what Mr. Hamad has said, that the US debt is currently on a really unsustainable trajectory. As far as what Mr. Fad said about the investments, again I would agree with Mr. Hamad. Why is because investors would be reluctant to invest in an entity which is knee deep in debt. So as we all know, the debt is rising. The annual deficit at the end of 2022, fiscal year 2022, was $82 billion and is increasing year over year by $61 billion. That's a lot of money that's a lot of debt to be accumulating. That's a lot of deficit. So if this thing goes unchecked, if the government does not implement any solutions to address this structural issue, there is a high potential that the US could default in the near future.
Okay, so unfortunately we have run out of time and we cannot continue our further questions. But our panelists have put insight on this complex topic, that whether US will gonna default or not. So everyone has different opinions, but it is clear that US have to take some serious measures relating to its economy to save its economy. As US is a superpower, it will affect globally. Many countries are associated with US, and it will be affected if US will gonna default. So I hope this panel discussion has given you insights of this complex topic, and I thank everyone here